In this video, we're going to talk about how to allocate the cost of a support department by using a dual rate method. So let's have an example where we're an auto manufacturer with two operating divisions. We make cars and we make trucks, but we also have an IT department that provides tech support to both the car and the truck division. And we're trying to figure out how to allocate the costs of this IT division to each of these divisions, right? How much goes into the car division, how much goes to the truck division. Now, if you remember from our last video, there are three different ways we could do it, right? To calculate a rate to apply the costs of the IT department. We could look at budgeted costs for the IT department and the budgeted usage, right? The budgeted number of hours that are going to be used that the car division is going to use of the IT department, for example. We could use that, budgeted and budgeted. Or we could wait till the end of the period, see the actual overhead, the actual cost of the IT department, and the actual hours of the IT department that are used by the car and truck divisions. Another way, a third way, is we could do the budgeted overhead rate, right? And then we could wait and see what the actual hours are and apply the overhead based on the actual hours used by the car and truck division of the IT services, right? So we got three different ways we could do it. Now, with the dual rate method, what we're basically going to do is we're going to have one of these methods we'll use to do fixed costs, and then we'll use a different method to do the variable costs. And so that's why we call it dual rate. We're actually going to do two different rates. So let's say in our example, we don't have to do it this way. We could do it in any number of combinations. But let's say that we're going to do the budgeted overhead and budgeted hours will be how we do the fixed costs. And then budgeted overhead and actual hours will be the variable cost. Now, what this means is that we're going to have a budgeted variable cost rate, right, that's related to these IT costs. And then we're going to use the actual hours that the car division and the truck division use of the IT services to apply that rate. That's how we're going to do the variable cost. And then with the fixed cost, we're just going to do the budgeted cost, and then we're going to apply it based on budgeted hours. It'll make a little more sense when we just get into this example here. So here are the costs for our support department. We've got $6 million in fixed costs that are budgeted. This is budgeted fixed costs for our support department. And then we've got some budgeted variable costs. So the budgeted variable cost is going to be $300 per hour. Now the budgeted fixed cost is going to be $400 per hour. I just put that here, but you could have also calculated by just taking the fixed cost of $6 million and divide it by the 15,000 hours that are budgeted for the car division and the truck division, right? So these are the budgeted hours. We're thinking that before we do anything, the car division is going to use 6,000 hours of IT services. Truck division is going to use 9,000 hours of IT services, right? So this is all budgeted here, and we've got our two different rates, right? We've got a budgeted variable cost, a budgeted fixed cost. Now here's the thing. We come in with our actual hours now, right? And it turns out their hours are different, right? So car division, we thought it was going to be 6,000 hours, but actually turned out to be that they use 8,000 hours of IT, right? Truck division, we thought it'd be 9,000. Turned out it was a little less. It was 7,000, right? Now, with the fixed costs, we are going to allocate. We're going to take this rate of $400 per hour, but we're going to use the budgeted hours to allocate that fixed cost, right? But with the variable cost, we're going to do it differently, right? We're going to take the budgeted variable cost of $300 per hour, but instead of using the budgeted number of hours like we did with fixed cost, we're going to use the actual number of hours, and that's why we call it a dual rate system. We're doing it differently for the fixed costs and for the variable costs, right? So let's take a look at the car division and make a little more sense here for you. So if we want to get the total amount of costs allocated from the IT division to the car division, what we're going to do is we're going to take the budgeted amount of hours, right? So that's 6,000 for the car division, and then we're going to multiply that by that budgeted fixed cost of $400, right? So budgeted times budgeted, right, for the car division for the fixed cost, right? But then we're going to add that. We're going to add that to the budgeted variable cost times the actual hours, right? So we got budgeted times budgeted plus budgeted times actual, right? So we're doing it two different ways, you see here, right? Here we got budgeted times budgeted. Here we got actual times budgeted, okay? So there's two different ways it's being applied. If you multiply these out and then sum them together, gives you total cost allocated to the car division of $4.8 million, okay? So now let's look at the truck division, and we're going to do it the exact same way, right? So we've got how many budgeted hours? Well, we've got 9,000 budgeted hours for the truck division, right? We're going to multiply that by the budgeted fixed costs, right, per hour. So that is $400 times 9,000, right? So we've got budgeted, here we got budgeted times budgeted. Now we're going to add to that, we're going to add the actual hours times the budgeted variable cost, right? Just like we did with the car division, it's the same thing, right? So over here we've got budgeted times budgeted, and then we add to that the actual times the budgeted, okay? Now that gives us the total cost of IT services allocated to the truck division is $5.7 million. Now, if you notice, I set this problem up in such a way that we had 15,000 hours budgeted and 15,000 hours actual. So I did that so that we wouldn't have any under or over applied balance that we had to worry about. So a nice little way you could check and see if everything checks out is we'll have this $4.8 million allocated to car division and 5.7 allocated to the truck division. You add that together, that'll give you $10,500,000, right? Which if you calculate it out, that's the actual amount that we needed to split up when we were thinking about the IT department costs and stuff. That was the entire cost pool to start. If we were doing the single rate method, it'd be the same, right? So we've got that cost pool, we've allocated it all out. Now, if there was something different, it could be a situation where you actually have a lot fewer actual hours than budgeted, or vice versa, right? And so in that case, that these numbers wouldn't actually all come out to be exactly the same.